Welcome to Oryx Learning. Today's lesson is on Unit 5, Functions, Lesson 9, Qualitative Graphs. Layla drives the same bus route every day. She would like a visual of her trip. How can Layla graph her change in speed over the time it takes her to complete a trip? If you would like to see the answer to this question, please follow along and we'll revisit it at the end. Qualitative graphs are graphs used to represent situations that may not have numerical values or graphs in which numerical values are not included. 3 examples. If you drop a ball and it bounces on the floor, here we can see the distance from the floor over time. If we graph the temperature throughout a day, we can see that the temperature rises and falls from morning till night. And a graph of someone's distance from home over time, we can see that this person left their house and then returned again as the graph goes back to 0. When analyzing qualitative graphs, look for the following. When does the graph increase? When does the graph decrease? And when is there no change in the graph? An increase in the graph can be seen with a positive slope, a decrease with a negative slope, or no change of a slope of 0. When sketching a qualitative graph, follow the steps below. Draw and label the axes. Sketch the shape of the graph according to the situation presented. The qualitative graph below shows the growth of a plant over several months. Drag each label to the correct axis. The height of the plant, in this case, would be the y-axis label, and time would be the x-axis label. The x-axis is always the independent variable. In this case, time is our independent variable. The y-axis is always the dependent variable, and the dependent variable is the height of the plant, as the height of the plant depends on the amount of time. Which graph best represents the amount of water in a bathtub after the faucet is turned on? The amount of water coming out of a faucet would be consistent, creating a straight line or a linear graph. The amount of water would also always be increasing. The only graph that has these properties is the one that is circled. The graph below shows the amount of money in a bank account over time. Identify each part of the graph as a constant balance, a withdrawal, or a deposit. For a constant balance, there would be no change. There are 3 places in which there are no change, and you can see by the arrows where they are. There is one place where the graph goes down or decreases. That would show a withdrawal of money. And there is also one place where the graph goes up, and that would imply that we got paid or made a deposit. Draw a qualitative graph that represents how much snow is on Bella's driveway. It snowed at a steady rate for 4 hours during the night, accumulating 4 meters of snow. It then stopped. 4 hours after the snow stopped, Bella went out and shoveled her driveway for 2 hours until the snow was gone. When graphing this, we can say for the first 4 hours, we know that the snow was accumulating at a constant rate up to 4 meters in depth, which is shown in the first part of the graph. It then stopped snowing for the next 4 hours, which is shown with no change in the amount of snow on the driveway. Bella then went out for the next 2 hours and shoveled the driveway off at a constant rate, which goes back to 0 meters of snow. Back to the bus route. Layla drives the same bus route every day. She would like a visual of her trip. How can Layla graph her change in speed over the time it takes her to complete a trip? As we can see in the graph, Layla speeds up, drives a constant speed, slows down and stops to pick somebody up, and then starts again. This process is repeated for each bus stop. So we can graph Layla's bus route independent variable of time and a dependent variable of speed. Remember, when analyzing qualitative graphs, look for the following. When does the graph increase? When does the graph decrease? And when is there no change in the graph? And when sketching a qualitative graph, draw and label the axes, and then sketch the shape of the graph according to the situation presented. Each situation will be different. That is our lesson for today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed it.